Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and if you've clicked on this, you are probably interested in seeing how to set up dynamic weather in Assetto Corsa. So you can see on screen right now I've got a race going on where I was driving this. I think I did this on stream, and it's just light rain. This is not actually dynamic weather, this is static weather, but light rain. I'll be showing you how to set up your Assetto Corsa to one, look like this, and also set up and give you a demonstration of the dynamic rain that we have available in this sim now, thanks to 3 mods that you must have, and that is going to be the content manager, the content shaders patch, and if you can afford it, I highly recommend you do the content shaders patch with the Patreon exclusive, so support the creator on Patreon, and the Sol weather controller. Those are the 3 that you must have to get you to this stage. So I will show you how to install all 3, and then I'll show you how to configure things, and we'll go through it, create a plan, set up our Sol properly, and then I'll show you a short race, perhaps somewhere maybe Brands Hatch or something, with the actual dynamic weather in motion, so you can see just how it all works, and let's see what kind of frame impact it also has on my system. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that, and I suppose that's all I've got to say. Let's get started. Right, first thing is first, you need to download the content manager off acustuff.ru/app. This is one of the absolute key mods that you have to have for Assetto Corsa for this current year. Well, I suppose I've been using it for a couple of years now. 2-3 years, I think, when it was first in quite an early stage, but you really want to get this particular application for Assetto Corsa. It gives you so much more capabilities than what the default Assetto Corsa front-end GUI actually gives you. So make sure you go ahead and download this. Once you've downloaded this, you can get the light version, of course. That is free. Again, I highly recommend that you go ahead and make a donation. As it says, any amount. I think when I did this, I gave the guy, I think just a few pounds for this, because I thought, you know what, it's such a good quality product. So I paid a few pounds for it and got all the premium features. Once you've gone ahead and done that, you've installed it, so you're probably going to have it. Again, as you can see, I've got loads and loads of mods. So I just went ahead and grabbed it, extracted it, and then moved it into your default Assetto Corsa folder. So you can see here that I've got contentmanager.exe down there, so that is where I've installed it. Now, there is one thing that you could do. You could go ahead and rename this Assetto Corsa _old or whatever, not so good, previous, this is for 2014 only, etc., as a backup, and just rename this Assetto Corsa. And then what would happen is that when you run it in Steam and you press play in Steam, I believe it will load up the content manager, but you do not have to do that. I just have this as a link on my desktop because I need to go to it every week for my videos. Once you get to content manager, this is the screen that you are greeted with. So just to get yourself a little bit familiarized with this, your options and everything are at the top. All your different tabs and your settings are there. Once you're in each tab, you get some options within the tabs over here, and then obviously this is the drive page. We're not going to be looking at the drive page just yet. What we really want to be looking at is going to be the settings and content page, I believe. Right. So now that you've got this, as you can see, one thing you need to check is make sure your Assetto Corsa folder is correct there. So for me, it's on my D drive in a folder called local games, then it's all in Steam, and then there's my root folder, and you can see my Steam profile, and everything there is sorted out. Then once you've gone ahead and done that, you need to go ahead and grab the content shaders patch. Now, if you support the content creator here on, I've just realized how realistic that one looks. Almost. It looks more realistic when it's small. I think when it's large, it doesn't look quite as good, but if you support the content creator on Patreon, I'd like to say his name, but I think I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to try once. I believe his name is pronounced Ilya, but I'm not 100% certain. But if you support me on Patreon, you can get the Patreon version of this. If not, go ahead and grab the latest version right here. So just download that. Now, what I do, there are other ways to do this, but what I tend to do is I tend to shove it into a separate folder, and then I will extract it. So for example, I've got that one right there, the 175 preview. That's a Patreon one. As you can see, we're on only 174. 175 preview, and then I install it into the mods folder. So you can see I've got it right there. Once you've done that, go ahead and grab Sol off Race Department. So you must go ahead and grab this as well. So download that. And again, once you've got that, I want you to, so if I go into Sol, once you extract it, you'll see there's a mods folder there. I won't copy any of that. What I will copy is that folder, and I copy that into the mods folder again. Now, he actually says, Peter here actually says that you do not want to do, you want to install it manually. I've actually done it through mods, and it seems to be working absolutely fine. But if you follow the instructions in the manual, again, it's going to lead you to the same place that I am, and we can still continue as we want. So once you've done that, you need to go over to Content, Mods, and you'll see a list of available mods over here. What you want to do, I don't know why my M3 one's not there. What you want to do is, once you see those mods, you'll see Sol here, you'll see the shaders patch here, and any other mods that you've put on. So for example, you can see I've got A3PP, which I'm probably not using anymore. I've got an LA Canyons mods, I've got Sol Enhanced, I've got a photorealistic filter, etc. Real billboards and stuff, blah, blah, blah. All you need to do is click it and click Enable. I think double clicking also brings it across. In fact, you know what, let's try it. Yeah, double clicking also brings it across. So that is what you can do. There you go. That is everything essentially installed. Now, after you've done that, I know it's still taking a few more minutes, so we're going to go to settings. You should see something called custom shader patch up at the top. So you want to click that. I'm actually now going to close all three of these. You want to click custom shaders patch. I'm actually going to also close these two. Yes, I know it looks like Windows 7, but it is actually Windows 10, maybe soon Windows 11. And in custom shaders patch, first thing you want to do is go to About and Updates and see if you are on the latest version. So obviously 174 is the latest version there. I'm on the preview, so I cannot install further from that. You can then go ahead and set up everything that you want in here to your settings. So I would highly recommend going through these configs and making sure that you click up here and press, and there'll be ones that say install, and make sure that these all work, because that gives you some of the cars with different tires, turn indicators, brake lights, reverse lights, etc. I'd go through things for car textures. Apparently there's one for, yeah, just for all these different car textures. You get the VAOs, which is ambient vertex ambient occlusion for each one. Track configs, same for tracks. This just gives it better shading and everything like that. And then go through the patch settings as and when you want and set it up in whichever way you want. I'm not going to go through all of this. Should help with precision issues, currently not available online. I am going to check that one. That's new for the latest version. Disable softness. I'm not going to do that. Use custom raycasting. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm actually adding a few additional bits and bobs on that I've not actually checked yet. But you can set it up for your specific computer. So if you want certain types of HDR, if you want certain types of anti-aliasing, etc., it's all available here. The one you may not have is rain effects. This is still a work in progress, and this is only available on the Patreon one. And this is what you may have seen on the race department page for Sol. Peter actually said that the weather controller does not add rain into the game. That's what the content shaders patch does, but currently that part is still a work in progress. But I will show you it anyway, so you have an idea of what is coming. The one thing you must change though is go to weather effects, and you need to change your controller script to Sol 2.1. So you've got Sol, which allows you to do it through weather plans, which is text-based weather plans, and 2.1, which is the new Sol Planner app, which is something that we are going to be using today. Then you need to go over to apps, and in apps you need to go ahead and make sure, can you see how these two here are dark grey? You might have Sol Planner looking dark grey like that as well. You need to click it and ensure that that is up and running. So that is what you want to do. Once you have done that, you're in a good situation. That is pretty much everything installed, ready to go. Now you have to go into the sim and configure things. But of course, if you've got the content manager, there's a lot more that you can do. You can change a whole bunch of things on the controls, which I have done. So there's loads and loads of different things that you can change, mess around with things to your heart's content. There is so much that you can do. There's even a special thing for Fanatec, wheels. So if you've got Fanatec wheels, you've got some additional options right there, which is, again, fantastic. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into drive. I've just picked the McLaren 650S GT3, Brands Hatch. Time of day, I'm just going to set for now to midday, or roughly midday. Come on, midday. 56, there you go, 12 o'clock. Midday. Weather, I'm going to go Sol, and I'm just going to set it to no clouds right now. So no cloud, in fact, no, correction. I'm going to set it to scattered clouds, and the reason I'm going to do that is for a reason. Is scattered clouds the one I want? Is it going to be few clouds? No, few clouds. And I'll show you why I'm doing that in a moment. And then track optimum, that's all fine. We're not going to be controlling any of that in this section anymore. All the weather is now going to be controlled using the weather planner. So now all we have to do is press go and jump straight in. Right, so we are now in Assetto Corsa. Everything's been loaded up. I'm just going to go ahead and just press start. We're not actually going to be driving anywhere. I'm just going to show you some of those time of day features, and going to show you how to set up the Sol app. So if I just go into an exterior view, first off, you can see that obviously it looks quite incredible. If you've not ever used this before, this is what it looks like. This is my blank canvas one. This is what I'm going to be showing you. So I have 4 desktops here, and there's one. That's the one I use for the Nordschleifer challenge. This is the one I use outside of this is the one you don't normally see at all. And then this is the one that I'm going to be using today to show you guys how to use different things. So first off, we're going to go ahead and set up a post-processing filter. Now I'm using Immersive Natural, but with the content shade, with Sol, you will get a bunch here. This, by the way, came before Sol, so this is probably ones that I need to uninstall. This is Good Bad Weather Suite. This is what was before Sol, so I need to uninstall those two. Then there's the Sol Enhanced one, which I think needs a little bit of work now. Probably needs an update. And then we've got the Sol one. So here's one of the Sol ones. Again, you've got all the different ones. You've got neutral, linear, which doesn't look that great. You've got the so these are all different ones that you can just set up for however you want. Fake HDR, which actually looks fairly good on my screen. Now this is really good if you have a bright screen, as I do. So I do have a bright screen. By the way, you might notice things like exhaust smoke and that now, something you've not noticed perhaps before. And you might notice a lot better reflections. If I can just get the right angle there, look at that. You see a whole bunch of really nice reflections, which is awesome. So there's this fake HDR one. So you just need to pick whichever one you want. That's not the one I want to pick. I really like this Immersive Natural one. It does work pretty well. I think the contrast is slightly off on it, and the saturation probably needs to be up to tiny amount, but it is not too bad. In fact, I suppose if I were to bring this up to, let's just bring that exposure back to 100 so we can work on this properly. And there we go. So that's the post-processing filter done. You don't have to worry anymore about that. What you're going to have to do next is you need to go over to the Sol app. So if we find the Sol apps right here, So there's Sol Config, the custom weather, that's the old one. So you can see if I click, that's not the old one. Where's the old one? Sol weather, that's the old one. So if I go to plan select, it'll say use the new Sol planner to change the app weather. That just allows us to change the time of day, which again, that's really useful for Sol weather there. And then I'm just going to go over to Sol Config first. So that is the first thing we need to do. Now, if you do not want to mess around with this, you can just go for your presets. Do you want what kind of performance preset you want to set up? That's pretty simple. Nice and easy. I've not figured out what the CPU split does on this particular page, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. So this is just your very simple ones, but what you can do is you can go ahead and go through all of this, and so for example, set that to true. There we go. You can use smaller textures if you need to, if you're not using using a really high-end graphics card or even a mid-range graphics card. I honestly think this works fairly well on a mid-range graphics card. I'm running a 2070. That's classed, I think nowadays that's classed as pretty much mid-range. In fact, it was probably mid-range. It's been mid-range for the past few years. So if you're running a 1080, that's again now classed as a mid-range graphics card. A 980 would probably be the lower mid-range graphics card. 1060 again would be around that sort of categorization. So if you're using a 1060, 1070, 1080, you're probably good for a lot of these things. If you're using a 2060, 2070, you're definitely in the upper end. If you're using a 2080 or even the 30 series, 3060, 3070, 3080, 3090, then you could probably crank this all the way right up to the top. Although do be careful on your CPU. You do need to be using a decent CPU for this. So you can also do some monitor compensation here. So for example, if you think that your black level's not great, so you can bring your, as you can see, you can bring your black level right the way up or bring it all the way down. And you can also do color balance. Honestly, I probably recommend you do that outside of Assetto Corsa. I recommend you do the compensation outside to get your monitor colors as correct as possible before you go into the game, and then you might need to just adjust it by a tiny amount just because of how the game does things. I did just shove that over to one side. So I'm going to leave that as it is because I'm fairly happy with that. If you are not using a post-processing filter like the immersive natural one or the Sol ones or whatever, this will give you the control over your brightness. Else, you need to look at this. So for example, you can see that makes it quite dull, that makes it quite bright, etc, etc. So I think the contrast is okay. I think that there needs to be just a smidge more saturation. 102, you can see if you wanted to, you could go all the way to black and white, or you can go all the way to ridiculous cartoon saturation. I think I'm looking at this 105 is probably the most I want to do here. So that just makes the oranges pop just a little. And then you've got the brightness sun link. So with less sun, brightness is increased. This is probably good for if you're racing a lot in the dark, or if you're racing a lot with overcast weather conditions. Then maybe you might want that just to ensure that nothing gets too dark. I'm just going to leave it at 100%. I'm absolutely fine with that. And then you can modify glare. The post-processing effect is not modified by Sol if you do that, so you can mess around with things here if you want to. I'm not going to show you too much of this because every single person will want to do this on their own monitor for their own experience. So you can see auto exposure right there. You can mess around with that. There's the content shader patch lighting system. What I would do is I'd probably set that to be controlled by Sol so that you've got all of this actually working. So for example, if it gets dark, if it starts raining, lights will come on. I think that will work really nicely. So that is pretty good. Then you've got the sky preset. This is probably one that you do want to have a look at. So there's a couple of things here that are quite important to note. First of all, you can see there that you've just got all the different types of sky presets. So you've got a flat preset there. It's just a flat sky. You've got moderate, you have a nice blue. I do like the nice blue one. Then you've got a dark blue, which actually I like the dark blue one a little bit more. You've got one that replicates Assetto Corsa Competizione, so there's that one there. You've got one that replicates Euro Truck Simulator, which actually does look very much like Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator. You've got a deep blue one, which I'm not too fond of up there, but the rest of it looks okay. You've got a flight simulator one, which again I do like because I'm used to flying in these sorts of conditions, so I might keep that. And then you can set one for your own custom one, and one with, if you have post-processing off, which honestly, that one looks a little bit like you're in an eclipse or something. So if you want, maybe if you want to do something where you're racing through an eclipse, there you go. That's the kind of one you want. For now, I'm actually going to set up, I quite like this one, so no, not this one. This is a bit dark. I'm not keen of what's at the top. You know, I'm probably going to go for the flight sim one for now. Again, we can mess around with this as much as you want. You've got the blue strength as well, and then also smog. Now there are individual settings for the track, but then you can have a global multiplier as well. So you can see there, no smog, all smog. You can see exactly what it does to the color of the sky. So I'm going to leave that at about 75%. We're okay. And again, brightness of horizon whilst it's daytime or nighttime. Can I show you this? Will it make an impact over here? Maybe if I go up. There we go. That you might be able to see a visual difference in the horizon glow. No, you cannot. So it's a glow that's along the horizon all the way around. Right. Let's go back down towards our car. There we go. Next up, you can select the weather. Now this one again is an importance one. So you've got a HDR multiplier, which increases the brightness difference between sun, sky, clouds and ground. Let me show you what that does if you set it to nothing. It looks like that, which just makes everything look very, very flat. Just the entire, everything just looks flat. It's not even worth having this sol if you're running it like this. 100 is pretty good. And also you can just see, look, no shadows or anything. 100 runs pretty nicely, I think. So it gives you a nice contrast, but if you really wanted to, you could go right the way up and look at just how much of a difference it makes between the darks on the shadows there and the highlights on the ground. So I actually, I think that that's just way too dark. So what I am going to do is, I do think a little bit more than that will be quite nice. I'm probably going to set it to about 120. I think 120 does look quite nice. Now, weather effects, lightning, etc. If you want to be using these, you do need to ensure that your cloud sky system is set to render method 2, which is Sol's advanced cloud system. Now, the only downside of this is that this can be, especially on lower machines, can be rather frame intensive. So you need to be a little bit careful about that. If you are not capable of running a system with all these advanced 3D effects, do not worry, it still looks good. You're just not going to get the full experience, but it is still going to look fairly okay. Most people should be able to run 3D clouds now, but on the off chance that you can't, there is an availability there for 2D clouds, which is what we've been using in Assetto Corsa until probably about a year and a half ago anyway. So that is what you have there. Preload 2D textures if you have enough VRAM. That will help your stutter in dynamic weather. So that's pretty good. And then if you want to, you can just randomize your clouds with every reset. So I'm okay with that one right there. Next up, you can set all your different things for clouds. So you've got opacity, shadow opacity, distance multiplier, and quality. So let's bring quality of clouds right the way down. In fact, you know what? If I'm going to do that, let me do that. So we've got this. So you've got quality. You can have it right the way up to 200%. or you can bring it down to, you know, all the way down, however you want it. I'm just going to have the quality as 100% for now, and then we'll see from there what exactly we have. Unfortunately, that reset thing didn't really do what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to see what the 100% quality clouds actually look like. Again, 200% things is probably what you want to do if you have like a 2080 or a 3070 and above. That is where you want to be doing that. Now, in terms of cloud optimizations, if you have this as 0 for no limit, that is going to be a problem. So again, 0 no limit, that's for really high, I think for more high-end systems. I'm going to set it to 1. So everything in my field of view is going to be rendering every frame, and then everything else will be rendering every 20 frames or something like that. Yeah, render per frame. I think it's 20 frames there. I think that is going to be pretty much okay. Or it's going to be 20 clouds per frame. I'm not 100% certain on that, but that is, I think that's going to be pretty good for me. And then we can go on to stellar again. Sun, size of sun and moon. I have no idea where the sun is right now. It'd be out over on this side somewhere. There it is. So there's the sun. We could make it a lot bigger or a lot smaller. So you can see that you can just change the size of the sun. If you want to be racing in a place like, there you go, look. You can just race on right next to a red giant of some sort. Well, it's not even a red giant. It's just a massive star. It's definitely not a dwarf star anymore. But I'm just going to bring that back down to your standard 100% because that is what it needs to. Can I type it in here? No. 147, 118, that's probably faster to get down to. There we go, 100%. You can also change sky bloom, fog bloom, etc. And you can have modifying of speculars and also casting shadow. Moonlight can cast shadow. So if, again, this is for GPU consumption, the moonlight casting shadow could be problematic for you if it's running in a specific way and your machine is not capable of it. You can also mess around with, if you did the post-processing filter modify God rays, if that was activated, you could mess around with this. I'm not going to touch that right now. Color balance as well. Then you've got directional ambient light. You've got overcast sky ambient light as well. So look, there is a way to, there you go. You can just see on that bridge there, if we change the directional one, you can see that there is a change there. And I suppose the overcast sky ambient light isn't going to make an effect because we have a lot of sunlight right now. Then we've got ambient occlusion visibility. I'm going to leave that at 100. And then you've got all the night effects, which is fine. I'm just leaving that as it is right now. I'm not going to mess around with that. You've got light pollution as well, if you want to mess around with light pollution. Then you've got additional graphic stuff. So you've got reflections brightness. So let me see if I can give you a good example of this one. Where did I have a nice reflection? Okay, there's a reflection. So reflections brightness, there you go. That just gives you perfect example. Oh, in fact, it's done it across the entire car. So if you want your every car to be chrome, there you go. Suddenly you've got your Gran Turismo chrome cars. But again, I would keep that fairly low. I wouldn't want to worry too much on that. I'd probably say, again, 100% is pretty good. And then you've got your saturation as well for your brightness. I'm not going to mess around with that. And then you've got your sound volumes as well. Now, I think the rain's a bit loud inside for my personal tastes. So I'm going to bring that down to 85%, and everything else I'm quite happy with. Then there's a bunch of debug options. I'm not going to go through any of this. And then towards the end, you've got your specific track adaptions. So for this one, just for Brands Hatch, you can mess around with your fog, your sun angles, your humidity offsets, your smog, etc. And that's all of that. Then you can go over to 1, and you can see that save is glowing. Go ahead and press save config. You see that the asterisk disappears. Asterisk generally means you need to save. We are good to go. So now we have this. Great. What we need to do next is we need to go ahead and check out the weather plans. Now, if you go over to all apps and go to weather planner, that is where you can do your various plans. Now, I guess you can just change the weather right here on the fly. So no clouds, you can see there's no clouds there. Random daytime weather, it will give you literally any of these weathers highlighted in blue. I think if you click it twice, you can select what that actually means. So that's quite windy. We now have rather windy weather. So there you go. And you can actually see how windy it is from the exhaust smoke. If I just rev up a little, you see how where the exhaust smoke is blowing and where the trees are actually blowing. That's pretty impressive. So you can do that. Again, let's just go over to no clouds. We then have these various ones. So you have clear, you have few clouds, which you saw before. You have scattered clouds, which is that one there. And it does have an effect. So you can see with few clouds, we have shadows. Scattered clouds, the shadows are very, very faint. Windy, well, you've seen what windy's like. Broken clouds, again, you might have a shadow here and there, but certainly there isn't any shadow on this particular, well, there's a little bit of shadow, but there's no sharp shadows from the sun. Then you've got completely overcast. Then you can do things like haze. You can do a mist, which I think looks pretty nice. I do find the mist, the shadows are a little bit too sharp, I feel, on the mist. That may be something that needs to be worked on a little. Then you've got fog. Again, I think the shadows are a bit too sharp on the fog. Needs to be worked on a little. You've got dust. Then you've got sand, which makes the... Now, I've actually seen this in real life a few times, so in Britain as well. And then you've got smoke, which I've only seen once. Then you've got drizzle, and you'll see here that you might actually see some rain. There you go, you can see the occasional raindrops falling. And if we go inside, you might see, there you go, 1 or 2 raindrops there. Now that is all through the content shaders patch with the preview. I'm just trying to look carefully if we can see any of the drops. Then you can do a little bit more. So that was light drizzle. Now we've got more of a drizzle. You can actually see on the screen there's the drops as well. You can just about see the rain picking up. So now we have a drizzle. The ground will also slowly get wet, and it will also slowly start forming puddles. You can go for heavy drizzle. So you can see that again, things increase. We can go for light rain. The noises have now increased. You can actually hear the rain. Heavy rain, or we can go for a downpour. That's rain, that's heavy rain. And now you can see the ground actually getting wet right there in front of you, which looks amazing. Your car will also get wet. For some reason the car's not getting wet right now. That's weird. The car is also supposed to get wet. Maybe a slight bug. But you will also see puddles starting to form on the ground at some point. Oh, there you go, the car is now getting wet. Okay, it might have just been the angle, but yeah, the car is certainly now getting wet. You might just be able to see a little puddle forming over there, and certainly you can see the puddles forming over here. So that is rain. You can then go to a thunderstorm, which you will see thunder and lightning. So that's another really great one. So then you've got that light thunderstorm, and heavy thunderstorm. I'll just do this so that you can hear the thunder and the wind. Maybe switch on some lights actually. There you go. That's not the one I wanted to press. There you go, there's some lightning as well. And then you've got squalls, which I'm not... Oh, there's a clap of thunder as well. Don't want to mess around with that. Then you've got a tornado, which is ridiculous winds. You've got hurricane winds. And then you've got snow. Now, snow, unfortunately, just falls as rain, I think. Or it doesn't even fall as rain. So you just have snow, which unfortunately is not implemented yet. So you just have things looking, the clouds and everything look like snow. But unfortunately, it isn't snowing. And then you have sleet all the way through. And those are your weather options. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. And of course, picking the right time of year will also give you those additional settings. So now that you know the weather options, how do you set these up? So let's go ahead and do no clouds right now. You can actually see that the ground's still wet. It should slowly clear up. So as the humidity goes up, the ground should start drying as time goes on. I think if we made it really hot, the ground would dry very, very quickly. You switch off my wipers as well. So we could change the ambient temperature, for example. Hey, look, it's now 40 degrees. Road temperature is 72 degrees. We should see everything dry up very, very quickly. So how do we set up our, as I said, how do we, is my wipers not stopping? Apparently it's still raining for some reason on my screen. Right, how do we set all of this up? So, third time lucky, I've just said that 3 times. This is your full day-night cycle for your 24 hours. So you can set up, you want it to go from night to dawn, sunrise, morning, noon. So if you're doing a 24-hour race, this is how we're going to do it. Or I believe if you're going to be doing fast time, so if your time is going to be, let's say, 60 times, then you'll be able to go through all of this and see exactly how it runs. Or if you want to not do it on your 24-hour cycle and you want to set it for times only, if you click this button, this is how many minutes. So you can start at the start. So for example, I can go over here and do no clouds, and I can stop the weather, go back there, and we can start playing. So 5 minutes is going to be no clouds. Then we're going to have it, no clouds. Click here, it's all clear. Then it's going to go scattered clouds. Then we're going to start getting a bit of rain. Then after the rain, we're going to have a period of heavier rain for maybe, let's say, 3 minutes. Oops, I clicked on that. So if you click on each one of these, it actually goes to that point. So heavier rain, then it will go down to a drizzle. In fact, no. Then we're going to have a heavy thunderstorm only for 2 minutes. And then after that, we will go down to a light rain, and then go scattered clouds, and then go back to clear weather and no clouds at the end. So that's going to take 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 minutes. So over the period of 40 minutes, we are going to experience all of this. Now, what you can do is you can click on each one of these and then actually adjust any additional settings that you want. So for example, it's clear, 20 degrees. That sounds pretty good. If it's scattered clouds, I want the road temperature to drop down a little to 26 degrees. Then it's going to start raining. I want the road temperature to really drop. And this is going to obviously affect how you're going to be able to drive. So ambient temperature also drops down a little bit here. So we're going to do that. Thunderstorm, ambient temperature, again, we don't want it up. We want something to do that, because this is what we selected. And unfortunately, the only thing that I've noticed about this is that once you do this, it's going to save exactly what you've got here. So there is a downside there. So if we select rain now it's going to be set to whatever we set before. So you do have to be wary of that. And then light rain, I'm okay with that. We'll bring this down to about 20. Scattered clouds, and then temperature starts coming back up. So 25, and then back up to 30, back up to 30. We are good. And then what you can do is you can save this. So you can go ahead and say, right, I want you to save that to, we haven't selected a preset slot. There you go, preset 1, save. Was that not save? import, export single plan. Yep, so we can export. So I'm going to say export this one. It's going to be called I'm just going to call it test.ini. There you go. Export. That's done. So now on preset 1 we have this export.test.ini. And what I'm now going to be able to do, hopefully, is set up a race, and then, in fact, I'll bring this up. I'll actually make this race much shorter. So I'm just going to go 2 minutes of clear, 3 minutes of scattered clouds, 3 minutes of rain there, 2 minutes of light rain, 3 minutes there, 2 minutes there, 5 minutes there. So that's going to give us 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we can race for 25 minutes, and we should get this entire setup in that. So again, I'm just going to save that, export that, overwrite, job done. So let me go ahead and set up a race, and let's see if this actually works out for us. Okay, so here we go. What I've done is I set it up with a little bit of rain to start with. So we should have a little bit of spray to get us going at the start. I just got cut off by this Nissan. That's horrible. So I'm currently in 13th place. I think I started 12th, so that's not too bad. There is a little bit, I'm finding just a little bit of, I think, stuttering, though I think that might be reshade. So if I switch off the reshade, that should make it a little bit better. There we go. I want to get past this Nissan, the one that cut me up. So we get to experience the sort of a sunlight. So this is a 7:40. I started at 7:45 in the morning, but what I've done is I've also set it at 20 times speed for the time of day, so that we get to experience this going from, well, it'll probably be about a 20-minute race. So we're going to end up doing actually, sorry, it's 30 times speed, so we should end up doing what, 600 minutes. So I think, should we be doing 10 hours? I have no idea what I'll set this up to be, but we should be going forward through time quite nicely on this. At the very least, we should be reaching well past midday, as we also go through all the different weathers. So you can see the spray being kicked up from the rain, which is, again, I think that's a Patreon thing, but it looks incredible. It absolutely looks incredible. And once this is released properly, and once everything's sort of fixed on it, I think this is going to look, again, it's going to look amazing. And you can actually see the tyre tracks of the cars cutting their way through the rain, through the puddles. So I can follow in the tyre tracks of the Nissan. The only problem is the Nissan seems to be a little bit slow, particularly around this corner. Now I'm slow around the next corner because I'm not used to driving this car. So, I'm sorry, not used to driving on this track. So you can see I'm kind of slow. And you can also see dry lines forming now as I'm getting through this. Use the wipers to clear up some of the splashes of rain. Should probably leave the wipers on intermittent. It'll probably help me out here. So I think I've got my stall set up quite nicely for my setup, and certainly you're getting to experience this weather. Now we should have rain starting soon properly in a moment, and then from there we're going to be going into heavy rain, a thunderstorm, and then clearer weather. Now the great thing about this, though it doesn't have yet, I should say, it doesn't have the grip levels changing. you brake so hard. It doesn't have the grips levels changing just yet, but what it does have is the difficulty of driving with low visibility. So for example, right now, if I just switch off my wipers, you can just see how difficult it is to see. It is not easy to. I'll drive a little bit like this. Obviously, the chances are I'm going to crash, and you can see the water moving around and everything like that. But I probably am going to bin this. Yeah, let's switch on wipers again. And you can see the rain is starting to fall, and certainly things are getting heavier. So I'm going to go ahead and up my wipers. In fact, I'll bring them up another level. So I think there's one or two levels more than this for you can get the fastest wipers on this car. Let me find out. That's it. So we're at the second highest level right now. There is one more level. So you have intermittent. Let me just check what levels we have. So that's intermittent. Yep. Then we have full. Then we have faster. And then fastest. Yeah. Okay. I really want to get past this Nissan, but it's proving to be difficult. Because this car, the Nissan is fast in a straight line. I'm fast in corners. The Nissan is not very fast in corners, but obviously it's difficult for me to get past the Nissan through corners because it's such a bulky thing. It's big. See, I was so much faster through that. Let me see if I can shoot it down the inside here. Well, okay, the AI just doesn't care. Yeah, see, that hasn't worked, and that's actually let a Mercedes pass. Sounds like a Mercedes. I need to get past these. Yes, that does sound like a Mercedes. Right. So this guy that cut me off at the start is just holding me up a treat the entire way through, which I'm not appreciating. Although, it looks like we're going into a thunderstorm, so that was again, brakes so hard for that corner. So that was a very sudden change in the weather, but I guess that's because I'm doing the dynamic weather quite quickly. So we've moved from clear to rain within a few minutes to thunderstorm, which obviously is not normal. Right, time to bring this up to maximum speed and really try and figure out where on earth I'm going to pass this guy. I'm thinking down into turn 2. If I can stay close to him all the way through this, which for me shouldn't be too much of a problem, and then down the hill, obviously I have the ability to use gravity to my advantage to help me a little. But see, this is now a challenge. This is quite challenging to be able to drive, or to drive through this condition, and I like that. Almost lost control of the car, but you know what? Don't try it. That's it. Right now, I can go chasing after everybody else. This is heavy rain. This isn't a thunderstorm yet. Just realised this is heavy rain. Now he's messed up my entire line because I've been behind him the entire time. I have no idea where I really should be braking. I think the rain noises I set to 85% might need to bring them about 5% up again. but it's all down to individual preferences. I thought that they were a bit too loud when I tested it on stream, but listening to it now, it seems a little bit too quiet. So maybe a spot in between. There's a green car up ahead. I have no idea what it is. Is it a Lamborghini? Yes, it is. It is a Lamborghini. So again, three mods that completely change the way Assetto Corsa drives, the way it feels, and just the way it looks as well. You would not expect this is the 2014. This is a 2014 title. Don't forget, and it looks like this. And I really hope Assetto Corsa 2 just does not disappoint. I really hope Assetto Corsa 2 does not disappoint, because this is what we want from Assetto Corsa. This is the kind of, and we want the ability to mod. If they do not allow modding to the extent that we've been having it here, then I think Assetto Corsa 2 will sadly fail, I think. And this is the kind of title that people will keep returning to. I mean, all we've got to do again is get grip physics for the rain, and then, you know, you've still got such a lovely experience here. 6 years on from release, 7 years on from release, you have an experience that looks incredible. Right, definitely catching up to this Lamborghini in front of me. Oh, this is difficult to see now. Now, I do not think the AI gets affected by this, so they're probably happily just continuing on. Like, why is this person struggling? But yeah, I am struggling a bit to see now. And obviously, it's a matter of keeping the car on the road is quite important when it's raining. Yes, I do not have the problem with grip, but I certainly have the problem with vision at the moment, and that's really nice. I think the thunderstorm has started. What do you think? Lighting also does make a difference. There you go. Look, lights off, lights on. So you can see that. See, I cannot even see the corners. I could barely see brake markers up, and the apex of the corner is very, very difficult to see, as is the exit. So I do need to get past this Lamborghini somehow. Okay, that was blind there. Right, we're 9 laps through, so it should now be clearing up. In fact, it is clearing up. So that's really good. So I want to get past the Lamborghini. And then I should be able to see if I can make any moves on... See if I can make any moves going forward. There we go. Make use of that. Slight sliding on the car. Rear tyres squealing a little bit for grip. But I think I'm able to experience this quite nicely. I can switch off my lights now. Although actually, given that it's still raining a little bit, I'll probably leave them on. I think the cars ahead have them on as well. Yeah, I think if the cars ahead switch off their lights, then I will also follow suit. But you can see the clouds on that now clearing quite nicely. I can see everything's a bit brighter. And the reflections look incredible thanks to these mods. Whoa. Okay. No idea. No idea what happened there. Well, I guess I'm sticking in 12th place. I wish I knew what just happened. It's like my wheel just didn't want to turn. It was just understeer, I guess. I think a lot of what you see on the windscreen now is actually being kicked up from the ground and the spray of the car in front. I do not see much rain in the air, so I think that is clearing very nicely. Once again, trying to catch up to this Lamborghini. I'm quick. I can be quick as I'm learning this track. I've been at it for 11 laps. So I'm learning the track, and I'm certain. Oh dear, that was a little bit too fast. That's in the wall. Okay, I'm learning the track as I said, but I still don't know all the track clearly. Oh no, I'm not letting that guy that messed up my race from the start. Well, I would have been so much further up. I'm not letting him beat me. He says going incredibly wide. As I'm now pushing the limits of what I know on this track so far. Again, change of weather, a little bit sudden, but I guess that's because I'm doing it, I'm compressing all the weather. But you can see the clouds are starting to clear, things are looking really nice. And I think that's all I can really say about this, is that it's just nice. Everything just looks super well done, really nicely polished, really nicely designed, and completely changes Assetto Corsa for a person. And it's really worth getting. As I said, all of it to an extent is free. Yes, you have to pay for the rain, but eventually that rain will become free as well once it's been all tested. At least I hope that will be free. And even if you do pay for it, you're paying a few pounds, and that's it. Nothing more than that. For all of this, to add on to a 2014 title, 2013 title, 2014 title, and it's superb. It's absolutely fantastic, phenomenal work. I'm back on the tail of this guy. And as I ran my final lap, I think this is hopefully that was a really good demonstration of, oh gosh, what happened there? Yeah, I'm gonna hit this guy. Go on, hit, there we go. As I ran the final lap, as losing control of the car, oh, tyres are hot. Okay, be careful around this. I'm just going to say this is well worth getting. This is really well worth getting. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel. In fact, what I'll do is, before doing the outro, I'm just going to go into the replay of this, and then so there we go, that's over. 13th place, fine. Before doing the outro, let me show you the replay of this. So if I go there and go replay, right, I'm going to save the replay anyway, but you can experience, go on that one, I'll close that, and there you go, you can experience that. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think. Have you downloaded this? Hopefully this video was informational and instructional, so make sure you do go download this and check it out, because it's absolutely incredible. Just look at that. That does not look like Assetto Corsa. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ECGadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. And also, you can find me on social media at ECGadget LP for both Twitter and Instagram. What I think I will do is I'll actually probably post some screenshots from this race on Instagram or on Twitter, or even on Reddit at ECGadget. Might actually post some things there. But that is all from me, and I will see you next time in Assetto Corsa. I think I'm going to do a few more races like this, to be honest. Just short races, obviously not the hour-long video or whatever it's been on this one, but just some shorter races and different tracks, different types of cars. Let me know what your suggestions are, and let's see just how much I can get this, how realistic I can get this to all look. I'll see you next time.